Welcome once again to Lullabies of Crime. Tonight, we drift into one of America's most quietly unsettling mysteries, one that begins on a cold, remote road in New Hampshire, but meanders through layers of quiet decisions, fractured identities, and a silence that's lasted for over 2 decades. This isn't a story of horror, not exactly. It is a story of absence. A young woman named Maura, a car crash on a winter evening, a few neighbors, a police arrival, and then she was gone. No footprints, no phone calls, just gone. But before the mystery begins, before the questions spiral, let us ease in gently. You don't need to solve anything tonight. You're simply here to listen, to wonder, and perhaps to fall asleep. Let's begin where all stories truly begin, not with the vanishing, but with the rhythm of a life before it unraveled. Imagine yourself in a quiet college town in Massachusetts. The snow hasn't fallen yet, but the air has turned crisp and the days grow shorter. Let's walk through Maura Murray's world, just before she disappeared. It's early February 2004. Amherst, Massachusetts, nestled in the Pioneer Valley, carries a gentle hum of student life. The town isn't big, but it's alive. Bookstores, old houses, the occasional hum of tires rolling over slush-dusted pavement. It's here that Maura Murray, a 21-year-old nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, goes about her quiet routines. She lives in the dorms at Kennedy Hall, a nondescript red brick residence hall built in the early 70s. There's a particular stillness to dorm life in winter. Hallways echo, radiators hiss, windows fog over with condensation. The scent of coffee and worn textbooks lingers. Each morning, Maura wakes early, not for class, but to run. She is a runner, has been since high school. Cross country, track. It's part of who she is. Out on the roads or inside the gym, she finds rhythm, quiet, focus. Picture her lacing her sneakers in the soft morning light. The world just waking. Her breath visible in the cold, her stride steady and deliberate as she circles the indoor track or paces through snow-dusted sidewalks. Afterward, a hot shower, a bowl of oatmeal from the campus cafeteria, her textbooks stacked in a canvas bag, anatomy and physiology, pathophysiology, and a tattered copy of a human development manual. She doesn't speak much in class. She doesn't need to. Maura has a calm about her, a self-contained intelligence, the kind of student who listens more than she talks, who absorbs information, catalogues it. Her handwriting is small and careful. Her notes are underlined in soft blue pen. Nursing wasn't her first path, though. Just a few years before, she had been at West Point Military Academy, studying engineering, training for a disciplined future in a world of hierarchy and duty. But something shifted. She left West Point, transferred to UMass. She told some friends it was about finding the right path. And yet, there was more. You get the sense, quietly, always quietly, that Maura was someone who carried burdens no one else could see. Still, in Amherst, she found a rhythm again. Nursing school was demanding. There were clinicals at the local hospital, long nights of studying. Her work as a campus security assistant, late-night desk shifts with little more than paperwork and silence. Imagine her there, under dim fluorescent lights, flipping through her notes while snow gathered silently outside the window. There were friends, but not too many. A few fellow nursing students, some acquaintances from the track team. And there was Billy, her long-distance boyfriend. He was in the army, stationed in Oklahoma. They had met at West Point. Their relationship was deep but complex, the kind of love that threads itself between emails, short calls, and rare visits. She missed him. That much is clear. Sometimes she would call late at night, whispering from her dorm room, her voice calm but filled with some distant longing. On weekends, Maura often traveled, sometimes to visit her family back in Hanson, Massachusetts, sometimes to see her father, Fred, in Connecticut. Their bond was close. Some would say intense. Fred worried about her, encouraged her to push harder, do better. He saw in her the potential she didn't always see in herself. The weekend before her disappearance, Fred visited her. He rented a car. They shopped for another one for her. She had crashed his recently, nothing major. But it rattled her. On Saturday night, she borrowed the rental to go to a party. It was a normal student gathering. Music playing, plastic cups, the dull buzz of conversation. She stayed late. On the way home, she crashed the car into a guardrail. No one was hurt. But it was another moment, a stress she didn't speak about. Later, a friend said Maura had looked distracted, like something was weighing on her, her movements a little slower, her focus slipping. And then there was Monday, February 9th. She emailed her professors, told them there had been a death in the family. There hadn't been. She packed a few belongings, took out money from an ATM, bought alcohol from a liquor store, and then she got into her beat-up Saturn and drove north. To where? Why? She didn't tell anyone. Not Billy, not her friends, not her family, not a note, not a clear destination, just a sense that she was leaving something behind. And that is where we will go next. But for now, let the snow continue to fall outside Kennedy Hall. Let Maura's footsteps echo down the quiet dorm hallway. Let the world of her daily life hold us just a little longer, calm, repetitive, and full of quiet questions. Let us now return to that Monday, February 9th, 2004. A day like any other, until it wasn't. The morning begins without drama. At 3:40 a.m., Maura receives a call on her cell phone. It's from her boyfriend, Billy. We don't know what was said. Moments after, her doormate sees her. She looks upset, shaken even. But she says nothing. Not then. She moves through the early hours of the day quietly. Later, she turns in some assignments, sends out emails to her professors. Each note contains the same line. There has been a death in the family. She will be away for a few days. But there hasn't been any death. No obituary, no funeral arrangements, no grieving family members. It is a lie. But a gentle one, a quiet excuse to vanish, or perhaps to pause. She packs her belongings. Not all, just some. Her birth control pills, some clothes, a book about the White Mountains, her college paperwork. She stops at an ATM and withdraws $280, nearly all she has. The camera captures her image. She is alone. She wears a dark jacket. Her hair is pulled back. Her posture calm. Then she visits a liquor store, buys a few small bottles, Baileys, vodka, and wine. Outside, the February air is cold and dry. A thin crust of snow still lingers along the sidewalks. Her breath leaves trails behind her as she moves. By 4:30 p.m., Maura is on the road, heading north on Interstate 91, driving away from Amherst, driving away from something, but also, perhaps, towards something. Her car is a black 1996 Saturn sedan. It's aging. The front windshield is cracked. The tires are worn, but it runs, at least for now. She brings no known GPS. This is 2004. Cell phone maps aren't yet a norm. Still, she seems to have a destination in mind. Among her belongings is a printed map of Vermont and New Hampshire, and a reservation confirmation for a condominium in Bartlett, New Hampshire, though she never checks in. The mountains call to some. They are remote, quiet, beautiful. They also offer something harder to find in the flatlands: disappearance. The drive takes her past towns with names like Greenfield, Brattleboro, and Claremont, old towns with wooden churches and sleepy diners, most already closed for the night. Somewhere along the journey, the sun slips away. By 7 p.m., dusk has passed. The roads are dark. Snowflakes begin to fall. She turns onto Route 112, a winding rural road in Haverhill, New Hampshire, where trees crowd the shoulders and homes are few and far between. She's just over the rise of a bend in the road when it happens. Somewhere near Woodsville, Her car swerves. A thud, a crack of metal against tree. The front end caves. The radiator leaks fluid into the snow. The airbags deploy. There are no skid marks, no sign of braking, no other vehicle, just stillness. Just a car angled into the snowbank, and one young woman, suddenly, very alone, but not unseen. A neighbor across the street, a school bus driver named Butch Atwood, notices the car. He walks over. He sees Maura standing outside. She is shaken, but she insists she's called AAA. Butch knows there's no cell reception here. No one could have called anything. Still, he doesn't press. He offers help. She politely declines. He drives off and makes a call himself to the local police. A few minutes pass. Another neighbor, peering through a kitchen window, sees the car but no sign of Maura. Then the police arrive around 7:46 p.m. and the car is empty. No footprints leading away, no trail in the snow, no Maura. Inside the Saturn, they find signs of preparation. Her belongings, scattered but present. Her bags, a box of wine, a Coke bottle that smells of alcohol. But her wallet is gone. So is her phone. So are her car keys. Outside, the woods are quiet. No dogs bark. No footsteps crunch across fresh powder. Just dark forest, branches heavy with snow, and the whisper of the wind curling through the pines. Searches begin. Flashlights sweep through the trees. Dogs are brought in. Helicopters later. But nothing. Not a trace, not a cry, not a sound. Just silence. Later that evening, her father arrives. And when he's told she's missing, he pauses. He doesn't collapse, doesn't panic. Instead, he begins to search. His voice low, steady. In the cold night, a father walks roads looking for his daughter, the beam of his flashlight sweeping across snowbanks, woods, and shadowed fences. But there is no trail. There is no sign she was ever there at all. In that single hour between the crash and the arrival of police, Maura Murray disappears. Not vanishes. That word is too meek. She seeps away, like steam, like breath in the cold. She's simply gone. And from that moment on, the world becomes two things. The world before the crash and the world after. Let us return once more to that lonely stretch of road in Haverhill, where the night closed in around an abandoned car, and where Maura Murray simply faded from view. No footprints, no screams, no signal, just a soft snowfall and questions. Endless questions. In the days that followed, search teams combed the surrounding woods, men with orange vests and radios calling Maura's name into the trees. Cadaver dogs, trained to trace the faintest hint of human remains, wandered silently. Helicopters traced wide arcs overhead. Still, there was no sign of struggle. No blood, no clothing, no trail. And from this silence, a curious thing began to grow. Not just concern, but fascination. As though this young woman's disappearance had opened some hidden door in the public imagination. What had happened? What kind of person simply vanished? And more unsettling still, could it happen to anyone? Theory 1. The escape. Some say Maura planned it, that she had grown tired of her life, the weight of expectations, the stress of nursing school, the cracks in her relationship with Billy, that maybe she simply needed to step outside of it all. The emails to professors, the printed maps, the wine, the booking in Bartlett. To some, it looked like the beginning of a peaceful retreat, or the first steps of a quiet exit from the world she knew. She had, after all, been under strain. There was an accident at work, at the UMass security desk, just days earlier, that left her visibly distressed. Then came a minor car accident in her father's vehicle. Then an unknown call that brought her to tears. Was she looking for peace, or running from something? But if she planned to disappear, why choose a snowbank in rural New Hampshire? Why crash her car, risk frostbite, and leave her belongings behind? And most puzzling, where did she go? Not a single confirmed sighting of Maura has ever surfaced. No banking activity, no calls, no contact with family. If she escaped, she did so with extraordinary precision and has remained in the shadows for over 2 decades. Theory 2. The local encounter. Others believe Maura met someone that night. Not a stranger passing through, but perhaps a local. This theory rests on what's missing. There were no tracks in the snow, no calls made, no trail. Some believe someone in the area, perhaps even someone who saw the crash, offered her help. And that help turned to harm. The idea chills, not because it's outlandish, but because it feels eerily possible. Was there someone driving nearby? Someone who offered warmth, a ride, and then vanished into the night with her? A few locals were questioned. One man's home, not far from the crash site, was searched with cadaver dogs. Allegedly, the dogs reacted in the kitchen and basement, but nothing definitive was found. No arrests, no charges, just silence, as though the answer had stepped just out of reach. Once again. Theory 3. The accident in the woods. Some say Maura may have simply wandered. That, disoriented after the crash, perhaps intoxicated or concussed, she walked into the woods, into the cold, into a fate that came not from evil, but from nature. Temperatures that night hovered near freezing. Wearing only a jacket, with no hat or gloves, she wouldn't have lasted long. If she lay down in the snow, she might have disappeared beneath it, especially after further snowfall. But would she have left no trace? No boot prints? No scattered belongings? No shred of fabric clinging to branches? Even the most remote corners of the surrounding forest were eventually searched, and Maura was not there. Theory 4. The stranger. There is another possibility, darker and colder still, that someone entirely unknown crossed paths with her. A person not from Haverhill, not from Amherst, not from anywhere familiar. A driver who happened upon her car, who stopped, who offered help, and who left the scene before anyone else arrived. A long-haul trucker, perhaps. A drifter. A passing motorist whose name has never been known. But here, too, the facts grow murky. No tire tracks were reported. No signs of another car. No reports of a stranger seen leaving. Just the darkness of night and the lingering fog of uncertainty. The online obsession. In the months after her disappearance, Maura's case found a new home, not on milk cartons or police bulletins, but in the forums and message boards of the early internet. Blogs emerged, Reddit threads, a dedicated website run by her father. People traded timelines, analyzed photos, dissected phone records. Maps were drawn. Every possible route she could have taken, speculated. Some said they had seen her in Canada. Others believed she'd assumed a new identity. Some speculated abduction. Others called it voluntary disappearance. Over time, the fervor grew. In the strange quiet of the internet's early years, Maura Murray became something rare, a case that the public would not let go of. She became a symbol of modern mystery, like Amelia Earhart or D.B. Cooper. Not because of who she was, entirely, but because of what she left behind. Absence, a gap, a quiet, yawning space, where something once was. And into that space rushed stories, and longing, and the collective need to understand. The symbol and the silence. Maura became more than a name. She became a mirror for our fears, our empathy, our curiosity. She became the idea of the girl who could vanish, of the quiet moments before fate shifts, of the question that never resolves. And still today, 2 decades later, her story continues to echo. Podcasts revisit it. Articles still appear. Searches, even now, are sometimes organized by devoted online communities, people who never knew her and yet feel a strange closeness. Because in a way, her disappearance belongs to more than just her family. It belongs to the unknown, to the winding roads, to the snowy banks, to the quiet breath before nightfall, and to those dark corners of human life, where certainty is forever just out of reach. And now, as our time together begins to draw to a close, take a moment to breathe deeply, to settle gently into the stillness that surrounds you. We've traveled far tonight, through snow-draped college towns, through quiet backroads in New Hampshire, into the life and mystery of a young woman named Maura Murray. We followed her daily footsteps, the ones you could hear softly in the halls of UMass Amherst, felt the distant rhythm of her inner world, and then, with care and patience, examined the widening ripple her disappearance left behind. And all the while, even as the mystery lingered unsolved, we remained in motion. Curious, yet calm. Gentle, but persistent. Following a path not toward resolution, but toward understanding. Because some stories were never meant to be solved like riddles. Some were simply meant to be heard, to be held, to be remembered. Maura's story is not just about a single moment, not just about what happened on a winter night beside a bend in the road. It is also about everything before and everything after. It's about the way people carry hope, the way time bends around uncertainty, the way a single life, even interrupted, can echo across decades. And perhaps, in this echo, there is something strangely comforting. A reminder that we do not vanish. Not truly. We leave behind pieces in photographs and footprints, in memories and mystery, in the words we spoke, in the silence we left behind, and in the lives of those who keep searching for us. So, now, imagine yourself lying back into soft blankets, the hum of night air just beyond your window, perhaps a faint breeze stirring the trees or the distant hush of passing cars. Time has slowed. The world feels further away now. You are safe. You are still. And with each breath, you drift further from this place of questions, further from the cold and the snow, further from the endless guessing and the lonely roads. What remains is warmth, stillness, and the gentle rhythm of being carried, not by answers, but by quiet, by the lullaby of a story told softly, of a girl named Maura, and the way she slipped into history, like snow melting into forest earth. Her story may never end, but for now, let it rest. Let you rest. You are safe. You are held. You are home. Good night.